The Indianapolis Colts just brought in a former Pro Bowl first-round pick, Super Bowl champion, in for a practice today. All that and more on this video. What's going on? It's Elijah from Sports Talk Indy, where we cover all things Colts every single day. And if you're not yet a part of the community, be sure to like and subscribe so you can stay up to date on all things going on inside the Colts going on this season. And we've got a lot of things to cover today because last week we got a little bit of kind of shocking news is that the Colts were going to be working out Dalvin Cook, who, if you remember, was the former Pro Bowl Minnesota Viking. He spent some time with the Jets last season, was really seemingly underutilized over there, and then now went with the Dallas Cowboys, signed with them before he could finish his workout with the Indianapolis Colts. So he never actually made it over. So that was kind of surprising that the Colts were even on that list, because it does seem as though the Colts are looking to add to this running back room. And the original intention of this video was to talk about this is kind of one of the few key positions that is far from the competition is far from over in who is the running back behind Jonathan Taylor. And the reason for that is this. Throughout this entire preseason, we talked about, is it Trey Sermon, is it Evan Hull, is it Tyler Goodson? And at times, all three of those guys have succeeded. But right now, as we speak, there are only 4 running backs in the Colts facility, being those 4 guys. And Trey Sermon seemingly had the RB2 position locked down, but then got hurt. And then Tyler Goodson had a really good preseason, but had some spots last year where he wasn't as consistent as you'd like him to be. Granted, he's very young. But now we've got news coming out of the Indianapolis Colts facility that the Colts, let me read this exactly word for word, running back Leonard Fournette among 9 players working out for the Indianapolis Colts. So today, this morning, Leonard Fournette entered the facility and was there to practice and to see if he's a viable option for the Indianapolis Colts. Now, I love this move. I love this move for a lot of reasons if they're able to get a deal done. Fournette is still only 29 years old, but we've talked about what these 3 other running backs besides Jonathan Taylor have, and none of them are this really power back or this bigger back style, and Fournette has that. Fournette had some really, really good seasons. Obviously, was like last year, he only rushed for 40 yards on 12 carries, which isn't bad, but only played in 2 games, was on the practice squad, so obviously there's something there as to why he's not signed. But before that, Fournette was a staple of the Tom Brady Buccaneer offense, a dual threat who turned in seasons of 69 and 73 catches, in addition to 812 and 668 yards in 2021 and 2022, respectively. Now, that might not seem like a lot, but again, we're not talking about RB1. We're talking about the guy behind Jonathan Taylor, the guy who on 3rd and inches is going to be able to get that extra push where Jonathan Taylor and his smaller size may not be able to. Fournette's not going to be a guy that we're looking at for ball carrier vision. He's a guy that we're looking at for the ability to power in and to really feed on the back and to essentially do what that power back is looking to do. And I think Fournette's got that. Let's remember who Fournette is for a moment. Fournette was drafted with the 4th overall pick by the Jacksonville Jaguars back in 2017. And had like a fantastic career with them. He was a LSU career guy, AFC South rival Jaguars with the 4th overall pick. Let me bring this up so you can see it. Bring this over. Yeah, there we go. LSU Fournette was selected by the AFC South rival Jaguars with the 4th overall pick in the 2017 NFL Draft. He found immediate success, became the first player in franchise history to rush for 100 yards in his NFL debut and reach the end zone in his first 6 career games. In any 1 career games, Fournette has compiled 4,518 yards with 34 rushing touchdowns and 7 receiving touchdowns. He tallied 10 total touchdowns in 10 career playoff games. So this is a guy who, this is where I want to get into this, is because aside from Joe Flacco, Leonard Fournette would be the most experienced skill position player on the Indianapolis Colts roster if he signs. So you're talking about not only what can he add to this RB room, which I think is a lot. I think he actually has the ability to really add quite a bit. But not only that, but you're talking about a guy who only 29 years old would be the most experienced guy aside from Joe Flacco. And that's amazing. That's fantastic. The Colts is a young team. It's a developing team. But I like this move of being able to bring in a guy, and I really want to see a deal get done. Because I think that Trey Sermon is great, and I think that Tyler Goodson is great, and I like Evan Hull on the practice squad, but I think that Leonard Fournette could really add quite a bit to take more off the load of Jonathan Taylor and him be able to be more explosive. But not only that, but Leonard Fournette is a fantastic dual threat running back. He's a good receiving back coming out of the backfield. And I think that's something that could be really, really beneficial to not only Anthony Richardson, but to Shane Steichen to have that option, because clearly, not to bring it up, but Tyler Goodson is not that receiving back. He's not the guy with the best hands in the world. Trey Sermon's not necessarily known for that coming out of the backfield, but I think that to be able to have another option in this offense, to be able to run more, double back pistols, or to run even a double back shotgun formation is going to add quite a bit to this team, or use Fournette as a fullback. The options are endless in Shane Steichen's mind of what he could be able to do with a guy like Leonard Fournette. But even if nothing else, this is what I was getting to just a second ago, Fournette has the experience. He's been around. He's been able to play. He's a Super Bowl champion. He's been on playoff teams. He's been on dysfunctional teams like the Jaguars. He's been on successful teams like the Bucs. He's been everywhere in the league, and I think having a guy like that could really be beneficial to these young guys, to this young core of this offense. You're talking about a team that has Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman, and Adonai Mitchell being your 3 wide receivers, Josh Downs, and none of them have played more than 4 years. You're talking about an offense with Jonathan Taylor on the back, who's just entering into his 5th season. You're talking about Anthony Richardson, who is entering into his 2nd season and his 1st full season. So these are guys that could use more and more and more experience, even with Shane Steichen being 2nd-year head coach, with Jim Baum Cooter being the 2nd year on the Indianapolis Colts, with Gus Bradley being only a 5th, obviously on the defense. But you're talking about a team that doesn't have the experience that could really benefit from any sort of knowledge on more and more and more experience on what it takes to be on a playoff caliber and a winning team. Now, the question remains, why is Leonard Fournette even available? Why was he on the practice squad last year? Why did he only play in 4 games last year for the Buffalo Bills on 12 attempts and 40 yards? Why is all of that? What happened? Is this something that is an issue, or is this something of just not being utilized? Because we're not looking at him as being the RB1. Obviously, we have Jonathan Taylor. But why is he available? Those are the questions that I have. Those are the questions that I want answered. Assumingly, as soon as he signs, he would then be RB2. Trey Sermon might get booted, and Tyler Goodson would get brought in, or vice versa. Trey Sermon would then become RB3. There's loads of potential in what's going to be there, but I think this move could be really, really good for the Indianapolis Colts. And again, as long as the question remains of why is he available, why is he even in this position, I think that's where I kind of want to get an idea of before committing fully. But I trust this process, and I trust that whatever they're looking for that they find. But it is very interesting to me that they brought in Dalvin Cook and then Leonard Fournette. That to me kind of is like, oh, they see a hole here and they feel like it needs filled. Obviously not getting the deal done with Dalvin Cook because he went to the Dallas Cowboys, but it's intriguing nonetheless, and I'm curious to see what other running backs are even available if this is an option that the Colts feel that they need to go with. Is what running backs are even still on the market that they could bring in to bring in some veteran help, to bring in some more guys around, because clearly this is something that they're looking for. Because, again, Dalvin Cook was available for a long time. Leonard Fournette was available for a long time and available for the majority of last season. So what are they seeing now that they feel like they need to add to this? And maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just coincidence. But I do like to believe that a guy like Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen are a little bit more methodical, and they have a little bit more of a plan. So we'll see going forward, but I'm very curious to see what this goes. Let me know in the comments if there's anyone that on the free agent market that you're like, the Colts need to sign this guy. Because, again, this isn't exactly a position that I was expecting the Colts to be able to make moves in, but I'm surprised and intrigued nonetheless.